take us right back. They're gonna take us right into our next topic, man. Give me your 10
Bro.
wrestlers of all time, bro.
All right,
You can name 10 people better than Hulk Hogan? Oh, nah, we going right into the next topic. Right into the next topic. Nah, homeboy. You want me to go first? You want me to go first?
No, I'll go first. I'll go first real quick. All right, so my 10 people, I'm going to go my number 10, my first number 10, my number 10 is Undertaker.
Undertaker is your 10?
Yeah, I'm not going in no type of, you know what I mean? I'm just naming all 10 guys that I feel that are all time.
So you ain't going in a certain order.
Nah, I'm not going in no certain order.
All right. My number 10 person is Edge. Edge is my number 10 wrestler. Held the most titles ever in the history of wrestling. 32. I think he held 32 titles. Not 32 titles, but he held it 32 times. I think that's the highest. Even higher than Ric Flair, I believe. Ric Flair's 16-time world champion. I think Edge 32 times.
Is that combining all the titles he have held all around the world, or is it just,
which one are you talking
or
about?
Is that just the titles in WWE? Because if we're talking about WWE, then it's only 11 titles that he's held in WWE.
Well, no, 11. Edge mostly was in WWE. Mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was always in WWE. I don't think he went anywhere else. But he would be.
No, he had a stint in Canada. He had a brief stint in Canada for a short minute, and then that was it. I think that's how they discovered him anyway. But yeah, that's a good pick.
Now I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you an honorable mention with that one.
Okay.
And then you can give me the next one. But my honorable mention would be Goldberg. And the only reason why I chose, Goldberg is my honorable mention. He would be number 11 to me. The only reason why I chose Edge over Goldberg is because Edge didn't have in his contract that he couldn't lose a match. I think that was corny that Goldberg did that. You know what I'm saying? I think it was corny that he had in his contract he couldn't lose. I don't know why that was a thing.
Well, I'm gonna give you the backstory behind that, right? So, all right. So Goldberg, when he first came into WCW, right?
Yeah.
Goldberg basically, they knew Goldberg's weaknesses, and they know his strengths. His strengths, of course, he was super strong. You know what I'm saying? This guy jackhammered the Giant, aka Big Show.
Yeah.
And he had him up there for a very long time too, to be that big and do that.
Yeah.
So they had strong points. They knew that his strongs and his weaknesses. So the idea was, you know what I mean, to play upon his strengths. He didn't. If you notice, most of Goldberg's matches were like 3 to 5 minutes. If they went over that time limit, you notice most of the time the people that he's around or the person that he's wrestling will carry that match for some time. Now Goldberg got better over the course of time as far as his wrestling, but it never was like something extraordinary. Like if you watch Goldberg versus Lord Steven Regal, aka William Regal, Regal was wrestling the crap out of Goldberg. Like he was tying him up, doing all types of holds and stuff like that, and Goldberg couldn't do nothing with him. And that's kind of what they were trying to protect Goldberg for. You know what I mean? Because he had the look, the kids liked him and everything. He was like Superman. So
Well, he did lose.
They
I don't think he lost, but he did try to spear Bret Hart, and Bret Hart had that thing in his chest and knocked Goldberg out.
yeah, yeah, that was yeah. He put a plate in on his chest, and when he speared him, he knocked Goldberg out. I remember that.
Yeah.
He's also Goldberg and him also had a not altercation, but Goldberg also had a blotch in their match where he kicked Bret Hart, and he kicked him a little too hard,
Yeah.
and he caused Bret Hart to retire early because of I think of a concussion or whatever.
Yeah.
And and at that time they weren't as advanced as they are now. So you get a concussion back in those times, you know what I mean? It's going to be pretty hard to recover. And
He
as you
did
can see,
lose.
Bret
He
Hart.
did lose. He did lose to Batista.
Who Goldberg?
Yeah.
I think I know what match you're talking about. I think he did. Yeah, I think he did lose to Batista. I gotta look it up again, but I think I know what match you're talking about.
Well, they fought. I think Batista won that fight, but that's my honorable mention. So go ahead with your next one.
Okay, my number nine guy is who's thinking. My number 9 guy is going to be Triple H. That's my number 9.
Number 9. That's a good pick.
Triple H, decorated champion. Yeah, Triple H, decorated champion. He runs the WWE now with his wife. Come on, like what didn't he do in professional wrestling? He won the title. He won the title like 11 times. He's a former Intercontinental champion, former WWE champion, former world champion. Also, he helped run DX. He helped lead the Monday Night Raws. He came from WCW. A lot of people don't know that. He came from WCW. He was John Paul Levesque in WCW. Yeah, he's with the Blue Bloods. A lot of people don't know that. He was with Regal.
Like, he was still name was still Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Triple H though.
Yeah. So he's a decorated wrestler. You know what I mean? What hasn't he done in professional wrestling? So he's my number 9.
My number my number 9. So that was your number 9, right? So my number 9 is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Randy Savage, Elizabeth. You know what I'm saying? Randy Savage, the rapper. A lot of people didn't know Randy Savage was a rapper. He was actually alright too. He was the first wrestling rapper.
Yeah, he had 50 Cent on the track with him, or did a video with 50 Cent. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had.
I met Randy Savage. I met Randy Savage before. I met him, and I met a lot of wrestlers. Yeah, I met Randy Savage, and I met The Rock before he was big. I met Randy Savage, and I met Superfly, Jimmy Snuka.
Well, yeah, Superfly.
He used to live in Echo.
From New Jersey.
Yeah, he used to live in Echo.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, a lot of people used to run into Superfly. I never got a chance to run into him, but a lot of people used to run into Superfly all the time. Yeah. All right, that's a good pick. All right, so where we at? Number 8?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 8 guy. Number 8 guy is Mankind.
Mankind? Wow, Mick Foley. Cactus Jack.
All right, so I'm going to tell you why it's Mankind, right? So Mankind has done everything in professional wrestling. This guy has a thirst hole for pain. This guy has also wrestled everybody under the sun and has held every single title under the sun. He has wrestled for every company under the sun. He's been in New Japan. He's been in WCW. When he was in WCW, he was known as Cactus Jack. When he was in ECW, he was known as Cactus Jack. When he came to WWE, that was his breakout stardom. You know what I mean? He became Mankind. He won the WWE title. I believe he won the tag titles with the Rock and Sock Connection. Um, what else?
He was
I
Dude
mean,
Love.
what has Dude Love as well? He was Dude Love. He had that legendary match with Undertaker. Undertaker threw him off the cage. He fell through the table and he lost his tooth. His tooth was in his ear and all this other stuff. Yo,
Yeah.
the man is crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta respect the guy that did what he did. He had a legendary match with Terry Funk. They had barbed wire matches. Like the dude thirst hole for pain is crazy. You gotta respect that. Man, Mankind is the truth. You know what I mean? He's number 8 in my book.
Yeah, so number 8 for me would be Triple H. I guess we said everything we need to say about him. So you can go ahead and go to your next one because he was. We already said what we need to say
Right,
about him.
My number seven guy is no one other than The Rock.
The Rock.
And I'm gonna tell you, yeah, Rock. I'm gonna tell you why. The Rock to me was like the modern day Hulk Hogan because he came in. First of all, he's part of the biggest wrestling family in sports entertainment. Roman Reigns is his cousin. The Usos is his cousin. Solo Sikoa, that's his cousin. Anybody that's Samoan basically in WWE right now is his relatives. It's all facts. So he came from the biggest wrestling family in professional wrestling, period. He got his own TV show. He's a multi-time champion, and he can cut some of the best promos in the business, hands down. And you can see his influence throughout of wrestling everywhere. If you watch AEW, look at Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks looks like The Rock. And I know he's probably tired of hearing that, but I gotta say it. Splitting image of what The Rock was doing when he first came in to WWE. Splitting image. His influence is everywhere, man. And there's a possibility we might see him in a wrestling ring real soon. So look out for that. But Rock is number 7.
So my number 7 is Shawn Michaels.
Yo.
Shawn Michaels. My number 7. You know, Shawn Michaels, you know, the WWF champion, DX, coming in on the thing, sliding on the rails, the Heartbreak Kid, you know what I'm saying? Sexy boy, super kick, off the top, rope elbow, you know what I'm saying? He put down some of the best of them, you know what I mean? Went best matches, Hell in the Cell, what's that? The ladder match, all types of shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shawn Michaels, my number 7, man.
All right. So my number 7, where am I at? Number 6 or number 7?
You're at number 6.
7 right now?
I think you're at 6.
Okay. My number 6 guy is no one other than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels. You just said what he do. You know what I mean? I don't need to repeat it. You know what I mean? He did his thing for so many years, so many memories. You know what I mean? It can't be compared. It can't be compared to what he has done in professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Straight up.
So my number 6, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Bret Hart. I know you was going to do that.
Bret Hart, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He was the one that, to me, that made catchphrases cool. You know what I'm saying? Best there is, best there ever was, best there ever will be. He could do it all. You know what I'm saying? I think Bret Hart, I think he kind of got lost in time. You know what I'm saying? I think he kind of got lost in time, and I think that when he came, like Bret Hart was, he was the hitman. You know what I'm saying? When he came, people respected Bret Hart. He was the champion. People respected him, but I think that his time came and went, but he still carried a lot of that respect as he went on in life. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that he to me, he had some of the best matches of all time. He put down some of the best people you never thought that they could be beat. He did some things like, because he really didn't know whether he wasn't a good guy. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't none of that. He just fought whoever, and that's what I liked about him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care who you was. Undertaker, he didn't care if you was Goldberg. He didn't care if you was Shawn Michaels. He didn't care who you was. He was about himself, and that's why I like Bret Hart. So I put Bret Hart there. Number 6.
Okay. That's what's up.
Get into your top 5 now.
Number 5. Yeah, my top 5. You know where I'm getting at, right? All right, so my number 5 guy is no one other than Chris Jericho. I already said what I said. Said what I said, and I'm gonna continue to say it. I'm gonna continue to say it again.
Oh man!
He needs to reinvent himself every single time.
Chris Jericho's number 5.
He reinvents himself every single time. He got moments too. I could go down the list, but the list will be too long. So I'm gonna just say like maybe 1 or 2. He wrestled mad people in New Japan for one. He was the IWGP. I think it was was he the heavyweight? He was either the heavyweight champion or the Intercontinental champion or the U.S. champion. One of them titles that he had the IWGP belt, but he held it. And not a lot of wrestlers hold that belt. So if you were an American wrestler and you holding the IWGP belt, that means New Japan holds you in high regard because not too many guys hold that belt. But there's a few guys that you might think haven't held that belt that they have hold that belt. And I'm going to break that down later. But yeah, Chris Jericho, my number 5.
All right, man. My number 5. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, number 5. The Rock. Greatest wrestler, greatest entertainer of all time. Some of the best matches ever. Classic. Him and Stone Cold kept Monday Night Wars interesting because at the time when WCW was dominating, we had to flip back and forth because we didn't know what The Rock was going to do or what Stone Cold was going to do. They held that company on their back. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really did. Like, The Rock and Stone Cold was the truth. So, The Rock, man, even though I think he got robbed a lot of matches, like a lot of world title matches, he got robbed. And he fought, like, Triple H. Like, I think he has the most title shots, but the most losses when it comes to the title shot. Like he lost the most out of all of them. Stone Cold, Triple H, a bunch of people.
Yeah, I didn't like when they had him lose to Brock Lesnar. I wasn't.
That was corny.
He lost.
That was
I
corny.
didn't like when he lost to Brock. Yeah.
That's corny. I think we'll get into Brock Lesnar another time. But yeah, so there you have it. Your number 4.
So that was your number 4.
Number 5. That was my number 5.
Number 5. Okay, my number 4. Number 4 is no one other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. What we talking about? The rattlesnake? What? Come on now, like who Who doesn't like Stone Cold Steve Austin? What hasn't he done in the wrestling business? We're talking about somebody who wrestled in WCW, he wrestled in ECW, came to WWE, became the ringmaster, was with Million Dollar Man, held the $1 million belt, and then had a legendary match with Jake the Snake Roberts, which had retired him in the King of the Ring. And then the legendary catchphrase says, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. If anybody remembers that quote he had, he said he said everybody talks Psalm 316 or whatever like that. How about Austin 316? Something like that. I kind of botched it up a little bit, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's the man. He's the man. What hasn't he done? You know what I'm saying? So Austin, number 4.
My number 4 is also to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin, like you said, he did things that I think that he was just, to me, Stone Cold Steve Austin was a different version of Ace Cowboy Bob Orton and Bad News and Roddy Piper. He was just all of those people in one person. You know what I'm saying? Yep. He didn't take no shit. And again, he was kind of like Bret Hart, even though they fought before too. He was kind of like Bret Hart. But Bret Hart was a hitman, and you had Stone Cold was kind of like out for himself. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care who you was. He was just about himself. Stone Cold Steve Austin made a reputation for himself, whereas he is like that in real life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing about him. And when he got power drive by Owen Hart, he almost broke his neck. I think he did break his neck. And he stopped wrestling for a little while after that. Even though they still gave him the match. Like, he still won the match, I think. But he had that injury that was a really bad injury. With that power drive really messed him up really bad. He is like that in real life. Like, if you, I follow him on YouTube, Austin 316 or something, or Stone Cold something. He got a podcast. He interview wrestlers and stuff like that. It's pretty dope.
Nah, it's real.
But that's how he is in real life. I met him before too. Stone Cold, yeah. So he's my number 4.
Okay, my number 3. Getting into that 3. My number 3 guy is no one other, and y'all can laugh if y'all want, but this guy has transcended the business.
I'm ready.
He transcended the business, and he like on a real, like, because I've heard stuff on the real. He really is a genuine person. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really wants wrestling to evolve. Now, my only gripe with him is that he never became a heel. And if you know where I'm going with this, I'm no other than John Cena. John Cena. That's my
John
only
Cena?
gripe with him. He never. Bro, what hasn't he done, bro? What hasn't he done, bro? And this ain't. And I'm not saying. And the only reason why I haven't put the other three in there yet is because for one, we're just talking wrestling. You know what I mean? As far as who was better than who. I wasn't talking about moments. And then the other thing is that, first of all, AJ Styles hasn't retired yet, so he's still creating his own moments. Eddie Guerrero passed away too soon. You know what I'm saying? And Chris Jericho is still active as well. So they're still creating moments. So I still have time to add an AJ Styles in that Hall of Fame top 10. You know what I'm saying? He's still got time to bump somebody out sooner or later. You know what I mean? Because he's still doing his thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, John Cena, man, like, he's a multi-time champion too. He's won the championship like, what was it, 11, 12 times or whatever?
Yeah.
Who hasn't he wrestled? He's beat the who's who of professional wrestling. He made it he made it cool. He made it cool. Like even though he's a white guy, he made it cool to be like hip hop in professional wrestling because we had people that did it before him and it looked crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even talking about. I'm talking. I'm not even talking about nobody in particular, but it looked crazy. But when he did it, him being who he was, it looked cool. It looked cool. You know what I'm saying? Like he made it kind of cool, throwing the jerseys on with the backwards hat, and we know he looked silly. We know he looked funny. But then you know what I'm saying? Like when he started to evolve into more of his character and more of his role, we started seeing the different phases of him until he got into that hustle, loyalty, and respect phase, and he kind of like left the other stuff alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, John Cena's the man. He's my number three.
My number three is the Undertaker. Undertaker, one of the greatest of all time. 21 WWE WrestleMania title defenses or WrestleMania streaks. Big man did things that I don't think no wrestler could ever do. Some of the greatest matches of all time, most memorable. Remember when he came from under the ring, pulled what's name down into the ring. Undertaker, to me, legendary. Can't walk in the rooms and see him. Like everybody respects him, and he is one of those type of people where I think he had a problem with. I think it was Brock Lesnar or Goldberg. One of them he had a problem with personally, and
I think it was Goldberg.
And he went to him. It was like, listen, we could really fight. Like ain't no wrestling. We could knuckle up, and he was in the crowd. Wasn't like, nah, I'm coming to. I wasn't invited. I'm coming to see your match, and I'm just letting you know you got a problem with me. He sat right with the people.
I think I remember that too. I can't remember what match exactly was that Goldberg was wrestling, but I do remember something like that happening. They had real tension between each other, but it had nothing. It had nothing to do with Taker. I think, like I told you, and this is nothing against Goldberg. Goldberg is still, you know what I'm saying, who he is. You know, his legacy solidified. But I just feel like he should, like, when you have a legacy like he is, you don't need to come back and wrestle a few more matches. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he came back. They got the little nostalgic value. He wrestled Brock Lesnar, beat Brock Lesnar. But then they started to draw it out even more and more and more and more. And he wrestled Taker, and he almost hurt Undertaker. So I think that's where a lot of that beef,
he wrestled Brock Lesnar twice, and he lost the second time.
Yeah, he lost the second one. He beat him the first two times. He beat him. No, he wrestled him 3 times. The first time he was the world champion in WWE, and he beat Brock Lesnar and retained his title. That was the match where he he threw Brock Lesnar up in the air. This is why I said this man was like Superman, bro. Look the match. He threw him in the air, bro. Like I'm saying, like he had this man. He swung him to the ropes and then picked him up and launched him in the air, caught him on his back, and then Samoan dropped him, bro. Or Gorilla Press slammed him, one of the two, bro.
Yeah.
Like, look it up, bro. And he retained the title. Then he wrestled him the other time when he was older, and the match only lasted like 3 minutes. He beat him in like maybe a little bit shorter than that, but he beat him, and he became the undisputed champion. And then the next time they wrestled, you know, Brock Lesnar just destroyed him. The next time they wrestled after that. But you knew that was coming, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man.
So Undertaker. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Now we talking about somebody that basically all of us grew up on. The wrestlers that we mentioned, at least half of them grew up on Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, what? Hulk Hogan was one of the first guys, if not the first guy, but one of the first guys to be in a movie about professional wrestlers and make that shit banging. Everybody remembers No Holds Bar. No Holds Bar was the truth. Now the movies that he had after that, I wasn't really feeling. You know what I'm saying? Urban Commando. All, nah, them joints was type trash. I'm not even going front. Sorry, Hogan. The movies was not
Well,
that
Hulk
good.
Hogan was in Rocky too.
Yeah. That was another one. He played Thunder Lips. That was cool. You
He
know
was
what
a
I'm
wrestler in
saying?
Rocky too.
Yeah, he actually played the gimmick. Well, he didn't play. Nah, he wasn't no Thunder Lips outside of W. Nah, but that was the persona of his gimmick before he became Hulk Hogan. It was like that was a
Yeah,
similar type of character. But yeah, Hulk Hogan is my number two. I mean, we already know how many titles he won. We already know he's part of NWO. He started it. Block. We ain't even gotta go that far. We already
yeah.
know. So he's my
So
number.
my number two is Ric Flair, Nature Boy.
Oh,
Ric Flair,
okay.
Four Horsemen. Uh, Ric Flair, even in his old age, still was doing stuff with young wrestlers.
Right.
Nature Boy. You know what I'm saying? 12 a.m. He's another wrestler that lives his persona. That's who he is in real life. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
it's true.
That's who he is. There's no, you know what I'm saying? This guy, he remind me of a mob boss wrestling. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but he did. He remind me of a mob boss who came off the stoop. Was like, oh, you want to fight? All right, let's fight. Like Ric Flair was that guy, man. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when he first came to WWF, it was a big deal because it's
Yeah,
like I think he was still contracted to WCW, and
he
he
was.
came to WWF, and
He
I
was
think that
also
that
the
was
champion.
yeah, he was the champion, and that was
He was the
amazing that he
champion.
did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think that was amazing at that time. So I put him. He was always in my top. Never came out of my top. Always. Never swayed. Always. So I put Ric Flair at number two.
Okay. Well, you already know what my number one is. I think we had discussed this before. My number one is Ric Flair. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You already mentioned his accolades. He's a 16-time world champion. Who you know won the title 16 times? I mean, like, come on, like 16-time world champion. Um, Four Horsemen. You know what I mean? He was with Evolution as well, which was like a you know what I mean a break off version of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
What hasn't he done? What hasn't he done in this sport? Period. Like Ric Flair was the guy was invited to the cookout. Ric Flair was the guy that invited to you can invite Ric Flair to the cookout and he'll get
Yeah.
that joint lit.
Yeah.
Not to mention, bro, like the dude has a song with the Amigos. Come on, bro. Like Ric Flair was lit all the
Yeah.
time, bro.
Yeah.
Like Ric Flair was the man, bro. Like he's my
Ric
number one
Flair.
guy. Yeah.
So my number one wrestler of all time, he is wrestling, always will be wrestling, no matter what happens. I don't care. It's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan was people's hero. When you talk about Superman, no, Hulk Hogan was actually Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like he was literally Superman. He had his theme song is to this day is still like people can play that and you think of Hulk Hogan. When it comes crashing down and it hurts, he was the hope that you had. You know, I swear to you, I'm not making this up. I never really cried in my life. Few times I ever cried in my life. Maybe one time I got a beating. And when Hulk Hogan fought Ultimate Warrior and he lost, I cried.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? I cried. Even though I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan, I think that match to me may be the greatest match of all time. That might be like, you know, you have matches that is like number one, and we got to do a topic on that one day too. What's the best wrestling matches of all time? Your top 5 or whatever. But that's probably number one by far. I don't think I think the tension and the thing about Hulk Hogan, his matches, he has some of the most iconic matches that you probably would never ever reach ever again. Him and Undertaker, him and Yokozuna, him and what's his name? Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant. Him and Kamala. him and King Kong Bundy. Him and who else? Shawn Michaels. Him and Zeus. Him and what's the boy name? Ultimate Warrior. His matches, Ric Flair. Goldberg. His name, even though he lost, but that was in his later years. But Hulk Hogan, to me, I always go back and forth between him and Ric Flair. But the reason why I always give Hulk Hogan a nod is because Hogan is, when he walks in the room, he's like God to wrestlers. When he walks in the room, him and Ric Flair is maybe on the same level, but when Hogan comes in that room, 24-inch pipe dons, like he was that guy. He was wrestling at one point. He held the belt for 5 years straight. 5 years.
You know he wrestled in New Japan as well. Hulk Hogan's a former IWGP champion too. And not to cut you off, but I just want to put a disclaimer in there with Hulk Hogan. I just want to put a disclaimer in there. Hulk Hogan is also one of the few American guys that's held that IWGP belt. Hulk Hogan is also one of the very few guys that has wrestled Great Muta. Hulk Hogan is also one of those guys too that can actually wrestle. A lot of people think he can't wrestle. No. Hulk Hogan could put on a wrestling clinic. It was WWE, WWF that didn't want him doing all that when he came to the World Wrestling Federation. They didn't want him doing the drop toe holds, the drop kicks, the submission maneuvers, the whatever. They didn't want him doing all that because they felt like he was too big of a guy to be doing it, but he was actually pretty athletic. And I gotta speak the real. Like Hulk Hogan could really wrestle, like on some real stuff. You look up the match between him and Great Muta, you see for yourself. And whenever Hulk Hogan wrestled in New Japan, it was always like he was able to be himself. And then when he had the interview, which is on my TikTok, if you go to Battle Rap Wrestling Media TikTok, you go scroll to the bottom, you will see the interview with Hulk Hogan. He had the WWF title on one side, and he said something about the IWGP title. This is just before he won the IWGP title. He said something about the title. He said the IWGP title is a better title than the WWF title. That's what he said. So, like, what else can we say about Hulk Hogan, man? He's done it all. You know what I mean? Like, I know he had a few scandals or whatever like that, or situations, you know what I mean, that made people like not really like him like that. but we're not talking about him outside of his wrestling career. We're talking about his wrestling career itself. Now, what he did outside of that, that's his business. You know what I'm saying? But as a professional wrestler, he was the man. So
Yeah. I think Hulk Hogan, to me, he was at one point where he was bigger than wrestling. He was like Jay-Z when it come to hip hop. He was like Eminem when it come to hip hop. He was bigger than the actual art itself. I think when Vince got rid of him at the time, it kind of damaged wrestling. But when it comes to wrestling, people gotta understand it's the same thing with boxing, the same thing with UFC. Can't always how would I say this? Good things come to an end. And I think that that's what made WWE or WWF back then so great, because Vince was willing to take those chances, because you can't always have the same person winning all the time. You know what I'm saying? And Hogan came in when he lost to Ultimate Warrior. That was the end of Hogan's, I would say, reign, because now you got somebody who came in who's just as popular as you, and probably people love the same way they love you. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not taking that away from Hogan's accomplishments, because he obviously was much bigger still. Even after that, he did the NWO and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think that Hogan had that, when you talk about reinventing himself, he went from the blonde hair to the black hair with the black beard and blonde and black and all that stuff. When he did that, it was almost scary. When NWO came, Hulk Hogan came, it was scary when he joined the NWO. It was scary. It was kind of like how it was when him and he gave me that feel when him and Ultimate Warrior fought. When he became NWO, it gave me that same feel, like, oh man, this is crazy. And I think that's why he's number one, because he fought everybody. Every wrestler that you could name of, Hogan fought him.
Yeah, it's true.
Every one of them. He fought all of them.
He wrestled all the guys that we have on the list. He wrestled every single one of them.
Every one of them.
Guys he wrestled.
Yep. Whether he won or lost, he wrestled everybody. Every one of them.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my, what's the name? That's my list. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that no one probably would ever surpass him, because, and it's not their fault, because wrestling is not the same. So the sport is different, the entertainment is different, the value of it is different. See, back then wrestling was competing with, even though I think it still is, like Vince, I don't know about now, but it was competing with boxing and all that. Because boxing only happened few far in between. Wrestling happened every weekend. So wrestling was always bigger, because every weekend they're filling arenas. Every weekend. Mm-hmm. So I believe that that's what happened with wrestling. So, but yeah, man, Combat Combo, we gonna come back with another episode